Good morning, Stewart's Chapel. This is Brother Don Pierson and Don Counts, we're over here at the Drox Farm again, and this is Saturday's Devotion. Saturday's Devotion. I want to read the last verse that we read yesterday. So we're back in Joel chapter 2, verse 17, just one verse. It says, "Let the priests who minister to the Lord weep between the porch and the altar. Let them say, 'Spare your people, O Lord, and do not give your heritage to reproach, that the nations should rule over them. Why should they say among the peoples, where is their God?'" Interesting verse in that context of gathering all the people together for a period of repentance and crying out to God. God singles out a responsibility of those that He has called to deliver His word and to minister to the people. The ministers, the priests, the ministers of God, as they are called here. They're given a little bit more detail about what they're supposed to do. They're told exactly where to go. I mean, the exact spot. They are to go between the porch and the altar. In other words, they are to position themselves between the gate of the temple and the Holy of Holies. In other words, they are to position themselves, literally physically, between where the representation of where God is and where the people are. They are to stand in the gap, to stand between the people. Now, God not only tells them exactly where to go with a very specific invitation to them, He also tells them the way He wants them to come. He wants them to come weeping. He wants them to come with a heart of grief and great sorrow and sadness. Because if I tell you to weep, you're not going to be able to weep unless something happens in your heart. He tells them, he basically telling the ministers of the Lord, something should have already happened in your heart. If you're really my ministers, then you should see what I see, and you should feel what I feel, and you should feel the grief that I have. And so he calls the ministers, tells them exactly where to stand between him and the people, tells them to stand in a position of weeping. They are also told exactly what to say. No one else is told exactly what to say. God doesn't allow them to create their own prayer. They could have created any prayer they wanted to, I suppose, but God says, no, I'm not going to have you do that. I'm going to tell you exactly what you want. I want you to pray. And so basically, God tells them, you stand between me and the people, and you beg me not to destroy them. You beg me not to destroy. You put yourself physically between me and the people because I'm about to do them greater harm than what has happened. And you beg me to spare them. Well, basically the whole idea, the visual image is God is telling them, you put yourself in harm. You put yourself between me. Now the beauty of this, that's what Jesus did. You know that? Jesus stood between the people and the Father on the cross, and He pleads. He says, Father, do not hold this against them. Father, forgive them. The priests are told to spare the people. And they're told to ask God a question. Now, think about it. God tells them to ask Him a question. Or basically, a question that would cause them, the fact that God's asking the question, it is causing them to think about something. And here it is. Where is their God? Well, where is their God? You see, that's what the people of the land, not God's people, but I got a feeling some of God's people are saying, where are you, God? But all the ones around them are watching the severe heaviness of discipline upon them, and the people are saying, where's your God now? Where's your God now? You see, the priests are to beg God to spare his people so that others really know where God is. Isn't that also what Jesus did? Isn't it true that because of who Jesus was and where he put himself and what he did, isn't that true that all nations have come to the place of knowing where God is? God is in the form of a man named Jesus. Love you, Stewart's Chapel.